Amazon.com. It really does work like the review says it does. I cannot believe that after the first few days, I didn't feel as sluggish or clogged up. It has had a profound impact on my physical, emotional well-being. I'm skeptical as most people about products and their claims, and I never write reviews, but this is a wonderful product and I recommend it to everyone. Great product. It has brought my blood pressure from the mid 150s over the 80s to the mid 130s over mid 80s, along with diet and exercise in just the past couple of months. Excellent. Thank you, David. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show. It is Monday, August 12th, 2019, start of a brand new week. And boys, there are a lot of stuff going on here. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. Mike is in our control room, ready to put you on the air with your comments, questions, and observations. And obviously, the big story from over the weekend, and not that anybody was surprised, but on Saturday morning, Jeffrey Epstein was found supposedly hanged in his high-security prison cell there in Manhattan. And a lot of people are wondering, how the heck could that have happened? Because, you know, he tried suicide or was attacked a few weeks ago. He should have been on suicide watch. And a lot of people are saying it just doesn't really make a lot of sense. So everyone's already suspicious about what's going on with this, and just try. Okay, there we go. All right, doing better. Okay, we already have a caller on the line, Jim in Illinois. Aloha, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Michael. I need to tell you 4 facts about the Epstein suicide or murder, whatever you want to call it. First of all, William Barr is in charge of all federal prisons.
Yes.
So he's responsible for what's going on. Number 2, William Barr and his father both had a personal relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
Yes.
And the third thing, Epstein did have a cellmate up until that Friday, and within 24 hours or less than that, he was found dead, supposedly. And the final thing, who took the picture of Epstein going into the hospital on a cart? And why did the Justice Department allow that picture to come out?
Well, they wanted to basically say, see, he's really dead, but there are a lot of people wondering if that was really him. And the arguments are rather compelling. We're going to get into them in a little bit.
Right. So, this whole thing is, I don't know if Jeffrey Epstein is burning in hell or he's down at the Caribbean getting a facial plastic surgery done on him. So.
Well, there's certainly a lot of theories as to what happened. And,
right. But again, it seems like this is a major inside job, and someone wanted him to just shut up, basically, including Donald Trump.
Yes.
And Bill Clinton, even though Trump stated, Bill Clinton is behind it. No, I don't buy that.
Yeah, it's too soon to say who's behind it. I mean, there were so many people who wanted Epstein to be silenced. I mean, at this particular point, fingers are pointing in every single direction. Could be, maybe, might be, but we're not sure.
Right. Well, Mike, I knew you're going to have a lot of calls, so you take care.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, we'll probably get a lot of calls on this one here. It's a big story. I mean, okay, so story out of Russia today. It doesn't take a tinfoil hat to smell a rat in Epstein's way too convenient death. And absolutely. I mean, there were a lot of people. I mean, Friday, the first release of documents ordered by the judge had happened. There'd been an attempt to block it by Ghislaine Maxwell. That didn't work. And there were names in there, including Bill Clinton's. So a lot of people were expecting something like this to happen. I got a text message Saturday morning. I was still asleep. Somebody said, Jeff Epstein is dead. And I texted back, imagine my shock, I'm going back to sleep. So Attorney General Barr is putting on a good show of outrage. And he's saying heads must roll. But the story keeps changing. Okay? First of all, they're saying now Epstein had been taken off suicide watch despite this incident 3 weeks ago. A later story said he was taken off suicide watch at the request of his lawyers, which may dovetail with some other stuff that we're looking at here. Originally, they were saying the camera monitoring his cell was broken. Now, these are very expensive, ruggedized cameras, so the prisoners can't smash them. And then when people started saying, oh, come on, that one convenient camera that came on back and said, well, actually, the whole system was down. And apparently, even though he was not on suicide watch, guards are required to make checks on prisoners every 30 minutes. But that night, the procedure was not followed. In fact, it's being said that he was left alone for hours. Okay, now a former Manhattan criminal jail system, correctional facility, says that it's impossible to commit suicide in those cells. They're designed so that you can't hurt yourself. If it's even possible that you might hurt yourself, materials that you could use to hurt yourself are taken away from you. And we're seeing all these stories from prison experts, former commissioners, former wardens, and they're all out there saying, this just does not make any sense at all. All right, we're going to do a shout out now to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining our network. We're talking about the very strange suicide, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say no more, of Jeffrey Epstein on sometime Friday night, Saturday morning. And we're going to go back to the phones to Don in Iowa.
Hello, Mike. Yes, you're right. It makes no sense. Everybody agrees on that. It makes no sense. Cameras don't just all of a sudden totally break down. I mean, normally that's a once in a million thing. And in my opinion, which I'm entitled to, nobody's paying me for my opinion, but I'm entitled to my opinion. It makes just as much sense that he was whisked away. Somehow he greased a few palms. He did this on Saturday morning when it was shorthanded. There weren't a lot of people there. He had somebody pay off somebody. It's New York City. He had connections, there. He had friends. He still has influential friends there. He has a huge amount of money. He paid off some people, I think. I mean, I don't know this, but it makes as much sense as anything else because nothing else makes sense.
Well, there are a lot of people saying that Epstein may, in fact, still be alive, and that was a look-alike that was on that hospital gurney. Of course, they could have taken him into the hospital, declared that he was dead, and then wheeled him out the back. I find it very unusual that the coroner in the case has not officially confirmed the cause of death and says he's waiting for additional information. So
this is unusual, and I'm not going to believe the coroner unless they prove that it's Epstein's DNA, which I don't think they're going to do because they don't have to. But I mean, they should prove that it's actually him by taking the DNA and see if it's similar to his brother or his sister or his mother or whatever, it was his relatives. Because that's the only way I'm going to believe that corpse was him. He could have just paid him off, the relevant people, whoever the head of that, and that guy, whoever the head of that jail is not saying a word to anybody. Nobody from the prison is giving any press conference. They don't want to say anything.
Yep.
Nobody from the government has given a press conference. They're not saying anything. So he paid off somebody. He might have paid off all the way up to Barr. Who knows? He paid off Christopher Wray. He had a lot of money. I mean, $1 million goes a long way to some cop. You know.
Yes.
I mean, give me $1 million. You know. So that's my opinion. They wheeled him out. He was still alive, in my opinion. Somewhere, arrangements were made to change his body with some other look-alike corpse that looks almost like could have been already tampered. We had plastic surgery on that corpse to make him look exactly like. That's my opinion. It's a possibility. No possibility that he killed himself unless somebody gave him some poison. And how come they're not even telling us the cause of death?
They're saying that he hanged himself.
He hanged himself.
He hanged
With what?
himself. And yeah, well, that's the big question
They're not
because
saying how.
again, we have former prisoners of that jail facility and former employees of that prison facility saying it can't be done.
Right.
Those cells are
Can't be
designed
done.
to prevent self-harm.
They say those sheets are like paper. You can't hang yourself with the sheet. And
That's true. They'll tear.
They can say he hang himself, but we're gonna. I mean, they're not explaining anything. It's just they're hoping everybody just forgets about this in a few days. Okay, Mike, I'm going to let you go. Thanks a lot. Take it
All
easy.
right, thanks an awful lot. And we're going to switch over to Peter in California. Aloha, Peter. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, Mike, we called it.
Yes. Boy, I hate being right all the time.
Yeah, you know, the one thing, whatever it is, and you know what? We don't know what happened, but the one thing you can always bank on is there's never any accountability.
Nope.
Whatever it is, whatever the explanation, there's never accountability. But my take on this is that this is almost, for me, like almost the last straw, that this is such a corrupt system. But this is a guy, Epstein, that was a state-of-the-art, world-class, of all time, blackmailer.
Yes.
All right, who must have had 100 kill switches everywhere. This guy must have kill switched his butt off, and the fact that just like Osama bin Laden, when they were 2 feet away and the guy was unarmed and they didn't take him prisoner, and then nobody saw a body,
Yes.
An election was coming up, or even Robert Maxwell. Nobody really found his body. Nobody really knows if he's dead, or Ken Lay, or any of these people. But here we have this under extremely suspicious circumstances. The guy would have been under surveillance. He would have been, Another one, by the way, look back at was the guy that ratted out Murder Incorporated.
Whitey Bulger.
No, not Whitey Bulger. This guy was in 1940. It was Kid Twist, Abe Relis, the guy who ratted out Murder Incorporated back in 1940. They killed like 1,000 people. Somebody threw him off of like a fifth-story building. But at any rate, here's the guy that pissed off how many Bronfman, Wexner, all these billionaires, MAGA. He pissed off the Israelis and the CIA and the FBI, who I'm sure he was also informing on, the Clintons, Trump, Prince Andrew.
Yes.
The entire Israel lobby was afraid of what he could tell everybody, and this guy would have had kill switches to beat the band. I'm betting that he's still alive. That they couldn't actually kill the guy. They want to, but they couldn't.
Yep.
And even with all their surveillance, I'm sure they've gone through all the tapes to try to get all his kill switches. They probably don't have confidence he could get them all. But that's my opinion, Mike. But I have no confidence in our justice system. Geez, I mean, what's his name? Rosenstein, or is it Rosenstein is back at work now?
Yeah.
Or, the guy.
No, Peter Strzok.
There's no
Peter Strzok is back at
for
work.
anybody. Strzok. Comey. No, nothing. Nobody's lost a thing anywhere. 911. Nobody went to jail. Nobody got demoted or lost their job.
Well, the operant question is going to be who's about to be promoted, because that'll really tell us what was going on inside that jail. I mean, if you think about the John F. Kennedy assassination, The officer who was in charge of security for the president got a promotion after the president was killed. The guy who was accused of allowing Jack Ruby into the basement of the Dallas jail got promoted. Eventually, he became sheriff of Midlothian, Texas. So we keep an eye on these staffers at this jail, and we see who gets promoted as a reward.
That's an excellent point. I hadn't even, but of course you're right. That's right. Everybody, they have to pay off people to carry this out. But it just goes to show you just how hopelessly corrupt the entire system is. Even Barr's father is linked with Epstein, getting him his job or something.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's linked with this guy. There's, either he's deader than hell, or he's living on an island somewhere with Maxwell and Ken Lay.
Well, he could be over in Israel right now, or witness protection. But yeah, I don't think Epstein is actually dead.
But by the way, it's time to remind everybody what happened to Irv Rubin.
Oh, yes.
Yep. This guy got Irv Rubin, or Jack Ruby. Geez, what do all these people have in common, by the way? Jack Ruby, Irv Rubin, Abe Kid Twist Rouse from Murder Incorporated, Epstein. What do they all have in common? Anyways,
they all had incriminating information that threatened the powerful.
Among other things, yes, that's right. But at any rate, Mike, it's really something. It's a real case study of just how bad this is.
Yep.
So, anyways, can I ask before I take off, what's your schedule like? I know you're going to be moving here in a couple of days.
Well,
the
movers show up and start to pack on Thursday, so sometime about then, I'll be off this system here and using that portable setup that we tested from Kauai. And it's going to take about 4 weeks for our stuff to get to the mainland, and then I'll get it put back together as fast as I can. I'm still working on Claire's portable office, and we've hired some help to try and get things done. I'm up here doing radio, and they're downstairs wrapping up things in foam pads.
So you're going to be off the air for any days at all, or are you going to?
I may have to take a few days off. I'm going to try and stay on the air as continuously as I can. I wish I could promise that it was going to be there, but between flight times and everything else, I may miss a few days. I'll try and keep it to an absolute minimum, but I'll probably miss a few days.
Well, all right, guys. I'm signing off here, but I can't wait to hear what other people. I want to hear what Mark from North Carolina. Wasn't he a former correctional guy?
Yeah.
I'd like to hear what he has to say about this.
I see him in the queue right now.
All righty.
All right. Thanks for the phone call.
Thanks, Mike.
We're going to switch over to Art off the grid. Aloha, Art. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, did you say Mark from Philly is in the queue right now?
No, it's Mark from North Carolina.
Ah, okay. Anyway, I want to dispel a little bit of rumor here, because really this is starting to piss me off. And I'm going to probably piss off a few out there, including the previous caller here. Let's stop with the camera crap. Unless you've actually been inside the Metropolitan Correctional Center or know something about it, you don't know what you're talking about. Because while there are cameras that scan the common areas and there are cameras that scan the outside of the prison, there are no cameras inside any of the cells. Now, that's rumor number one that we need to nip in the bud right damn now. Stop with this crap. You're spreading conspiracy theory without any evidence to make it a conspiracy. The second thing is this concept that he was on or off suicide watch. Here is where we're running into problems. I am an ex-con, so I think I know a little something about what the hell I'm talking about. While I was incarcerated, I tried to commit suicide. At the time, I was mentally weak, and I didn't think I could handle being in prison. I found out I was wrong. I was actually quite strong. But Suicide Watch, generally as a rule, is 30 days. Epstein was not on Suicide Watch for 30 damn days. So if he was taken off prematurely, I would like to know why. Okay? So that's the second issue that we need to be looking at. And there are people out there that are trying to say that there is no way Epstein could possibly be alive, that there's no way he made it out of there alive. Well, if you, and I know the vast majority of Republic Broadcasting listeners do not fall into this category, because the majority of us know.
Art, I got to put you on hold. Stay on the line. We'll be back after these few words.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
And aloha, America. Welcome back for our show here. And again, if you'd like to help out Republic Broadcasting, the postal address to send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity cash, is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a debit or credit card donation or pledge to be a recurring subscriber is 800-724-2719, extension 1 during business hours, extension 3 at all other time. The network thanks you. Okay, we're talking with Art off the grid, and during the commercial break, I did a little web searching. Now, the original report out over the weekend on Saturday had indicated there was a camera that could see inside the cell, but it had malfunctioned. Now the story is, as you said it yourself, the cameras sweep the common areas outside the cells and the outside of the building, but they do not peer into the individual cells. And so
the reason for that is, even when you're in jail, when you are in your respective cell, you do have a level of privacy. This is because you have male and female guards, and so because of this, cameras do not look directly into the cell. Now, I know this because I happen to know people who have been incarcerated there. I've already talked to them, and they tell me, no, cameras cannot see inside the cell. So, with that, Epstein was supposedly in solitary, which means he did not have a cellmate.
Yes.
Now, the reason he was in solitary was partly because of his previous, if you want to believe, suicide attempt, but also the fact that he had reported that his life had been threatened. Now, there are those who are trying to claim that no way could he have possibly made it out of there alive. But these are people like Rush Limbaugh, Glenn Beck, and so and so and so and so and so and so, and of course common everyday people you know on the streets who actually believe that 19 nut jobs from caves in Afghanistan pulled off September 11th. These are also the same kind of people that actually believe Timothy McVeigh blew up the Oklahoma City Alfred P. Murrah building, and that Waco was indeed a raid on a bunch of lunatic fringe, gun nuts, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Well, here's the problem. If these people, Rush Limbaugh, Glenn Beck, and the rest of these clowns, actually believe that September 11th was pulled off by a bunch of nut jobs in caves in Afghanistan,
yep,
and that Oklahoma City was actually pulled off by one guy in a truck bomb, and all of this, then what is so hard to believe that a guy with that kind of money could not orchestrate an escape?
He didn't even need to have the money. All he had to do was, get a message to key people and say, you spring me out of this.
It's not that hard.
Hello?
I can explain to you
Hello?
very quick, very in a very short amount of time how easy I could pull that off if I had that kind of money. But I'm sure nobody wants to hear that because it would challenge everybody's perception of what's real.
Epstein didn't even really need to have a lot of money. All he has to do is call up some key people and say, find a way to get me out of here, or I'm going to go public with what I know about you. And in fact, apparently, it was confirmed that he was willing to name names in exchange for a reduced sentence. Okay? I guess we lost Art there, so let's switch over to Frank in North Carolina. Aloha, Frank. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yep. Good afternoon. Yeah. I think Peter had some good points there. He's bringing up about the dead man switches. I mean, somebody that's involved in espionage, intrigue, blackmail, at an international level like that, they don't play around. They watch their back. They've got stuff out there. They let people know, if you ever come after me, the whole system comes down. Information will be released. Now, whether it ever gets out, who knows? Kind of like in the movie 3 Days of the Condor with Robert Redford from 1975 or whatever it was. But, it's a little bit different, though. I mean, I don't know about the cameras. I guess the cells don't have cameras. I don't know what Art was in for, but I doubt he was the key defendant and witness in an international blackmail operation. It's a little bit of a different situation here, right? Yeah, I mean, So, I take all that with a grain of salt. In fact, somebody texted me today and they said, hey, just heard Rush Limbaugh. So I turned it on and Rush Limbaugh said, and I heard him say it again, he doesn't believe Epstein is dead. So actually, Art is wrong on that. Rush Limbaugh is out there saying he doesn't believe that Epstein is dead, and he would not be surprised if sometime
Okay, we seem to be having some problem with our audio here. We're going to take a break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Many people tell us about their experience with Extendivite. Just listen to what Glenn has to say.
Prior to taking it, I had diabetic neuropathy. The Extendivite reduced that significantly. Acid reflux was reduced. I had athlete's foot, very severe. Trimmed that down to about 75%. Dandruff, almost completely gone. I had occipital neuralgia at the base of my skull. I was having migraines, reduced by about 90%. Heart palpitations, my heart would kind of stall out. I would skip a beat. Very uncomfortable. And when walking from downstairs going to sleep, by the time I got to the bedroom, which is just one flight of stairs, my heart was pounding, coming out of my chest. My vision was blurry. This completely solved that problem. Great product. Thanks.
Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield tactical bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more, plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AROutfitting.com.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, I mean the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And we're going to go right back to the phones to Tony in Puerto Rico. Aloha, Tony. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Tony, are you there? I'm not hearing Tony. We seem to be having a problem with the phones today. All right, well, let's try switching over to Mark in North Carolina. Aloha, Mark, are you there? All right, well, I'm going to go back to just talking about the news here until I get word that the issues with the phone have been taken care of. So a lot of people are very suspicious as to what happened. And there are even some really big names in government itself that are buying the official story. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is saying we need answers, lots of answers. And let's see, Matt Gaetz is saying Chairman Nadler should prioritize a judiciary investigation into how Jeff Epstein died in federal custody in Nadler's own neighborhood over the Kavanaugh confirmation and the Russian hoax. Joe Scarborough came on out and said a guy who had information that would have destroyed the rich and powerful men's lives ends up dead in his jail cell. How predictably Russian. So Joe Scarborough is out there saying that the Russians did it. And it gets even weirder than that. All right, we're going to try and see if we can get a phone call to work. Frank in North Carolina. Aloha, Frank, are you there? Okay.
Try again.
Frank, are you there?
I don't know what's happening. Losing people after I try to put them on air.
Okay, well, I'm going to go back to the news, and I guess until you get it fixed, we can't take any phone calls. So Lou Dobbs was out there saying dead men tell no tales. I've been hearing that one a lot, people talking about Epstein. U.S. Representative Al Green, the suicide of Mr. Epstein is an impossibility. When impossibility occurs involving powerful people and possible criminality, there must be an investigation to end speculation. Because the public has a right to know, I'm calling for a congressional investigation. So, yeah, whoever thought this was going to work, regardless of whether it was a hit on him or he did manufacture an escape, they clearly didn't get away with it. Okay. Rudy Giuliani, what does the word watch mean in the phrase suicide watch? Who was watching? What does the camera show? Well, I guess that's where the camera story originated with Rudy Giuliani. It is inconceivable Epstein could have hung himself if there was a suicide watch. Follow the motives. Okay, we're going to try our phone system again. Joe in Tennessee, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike, you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Oh, all right, great. I'm just enjoying the hell out of this Epstein thing, whether he's alive or dead. Really, the great issue for this, for somebody that once has been trying to expose since Waco about the FBI and the corruption in the Department of Justice. I mean, this is red-pilling millions and millions and millions of Americans to what we've been saying for 30 years or more, some of us, about the corruption of the Department of Justice. You know all about that with Vince Foster and Waco and 9/11. So our credibility, our stock, a story like this, it's so like, even like people like my mom and my sister who almost always buy the government line, they just smell a rat with this stuff too, you know? So I think in that regard, it's just absolutely like one of the better things to happen to the alt-right, you know, people that are skeptics. I hear him say conspiracy theory and trying to apply this to conspiracy theory, and 70% of the American people are saying, well, if that's a conspiracy, count me in, because it's such an obvious, you know, injustice. But actually, in that regard, I wanted to also say that I hope they did kill Epstein because he was a terrorist, and if, you know, he deserves to be killed. He probably would have skated somehow or another. So I hope he was killed. I don't with his money and connections and Mossad and all that. I think he's getting the Ken Levy treatment. But one thing I'd like to say is, as much as I don't like the Clintons, I don't think the Clintons got this. I'm not going to put this on the Clintons, because if they have the information from Epstein, they have all the video. I'm sure the government has all the videos, all the pictures, all the flight logs. So I think that this is something else. I would find it hard to believe that the Clintons. Who's getting blamed for it? Like, are you on the Facebook or internet, or you hear the alternate radio talking about the Clintons, bringing up the Clinton body count? It's not a good thing to happen for the Clintons, you know. And meanwhile, what would they gain? Because I'm sure Epstein, all the information. If the government is going to prosecute these very powerful, rich people, then they have all that information already, whether he's alive or dead. They don't need him on the stand to testify against these people. They have all the videos and pictures. So the fact that they might think Clinton killed him so he wouldn't testify against Clinton, you know, they think it's going to be some big court TV case, you know, with Epstein ratting them out. Well, they don't have to do that. They have videos. I mean, Epstein was blackmailing all these people. So I'm sure he's got videos and pictures and everything of Clinton.
Well,
So,
the question is, on the assumption that Epstein did actually die Friday night, who has got those videos now?
Well, I would assume that some of the videos were, you know, the government had them before when they rearrested him. I mean, they raided his apartment again after they rearrested him, and I'm sure they have, you know, they've had that information for a while. So it's just that the political people haven't allowed it to come out yet. The political part of the Department of Justice is not going to go after these people. I mean, there's a lot of rumors about Weiner and.
I don't think Epstein would have kept that material where he lived and worked. I mean, that was Vince Foster's mistake. He had a dead man switch set up, but he kept it in his White House office safe. And they were able to get at it and destroy it before the park police showed up. So blackmailers generally tend to have an office somewhere off premises, a lot of locks on it, banal title above the door. And that's where they keep the information, so it can't be found.
Well, I think he's more of an intelligence agent through the Mossad, and I think that I would look at Ehud Barak before I looked at Bill Clinton's involvement in this. But I would say one thing to look out for, and that is people getting sick and dying, like big shot people. That's if they're not going to go away, like if Epstein doesn't quiet all the government potential prosecutions, then you're going to start seeing people getting, some of these real big guys falling down with illnesses and being incapacitated.
Yeah,
and dying,
I
that's the thing to look for.
I don't think the wet work is over.
No, I don't. But I mean, if you start hearing about, like, you know, the Clintons being sickly and coming down with things, and Prince Andrew or whatever, you know that they're not laying off this. But I don't know. To me, it's a Mossad operation, and I'm not like one to call in and blame the Mossad all the time, but I really don't see what the Clintons gain from this, because all you're hearing about is Clinton body count was the number one trend on Twitter, I think, the last few days. So what do they gain from it, you know?
Well,
that's my opinion.
Apparently there were worse things that Bill Clinton did that he didn't want to have come on out. And he was hardly alone in that. I mean, apparently it was wild times, you know, down at Epstein's place, whether that was Manhattan or Florida or the ranch out in New Mexico where he wanted his baby factory, or that little island down there in the Caribbean. I mean, he just had all this money, and for all we know, he's already back at that island. And they're just going to put lots of curtains on the windows. Yeah, Little St. George.
Senator Mitchell?
Say again?
Senator Mitchell, Governor Richardson. I mean, those are some guys you saw. They were like pretty big shot figures. You know, Governor Richardson you still see on TV once in a while. You know, where's he going to have to hang his head now? I know he's out there chasing them underage girls. Amazing. But once again, it shows what a lot of us have been talking about, is how corrupt the system is, and that how corrupt the Department of Justice and the FBI are. And, you know, I've heard you say before, Michael, that you want to see the economic system collapse so we don't go to wars. And I'd like to see the economic system collapse so that this degenerate country stops being so corrupt and degenerate. I think if we have an economic collapse, we'll probably still go to war because that's a way to distract the people. But I think that we need an economic collapse to stop this transsexuals reading to children at school. I mean, if people had to struggle a little more, maybe they wouldn't be as out there doing degenerate things like they are. You know, I mean, the system is, I think
it's a lot like Rome near the collapse. It really is. Anyway, listen, Joe, got to let you go. The phone lines are loading up. We seem to have our phones fixed again. And let's go back to Frank in North Carolina. Aloha, Frank. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't know how much I got out last time. I suddenly realized, and then I got a call saying that my call didn't go out over air, or not very much of it. So, yeah, but, you know, it's a little bit different, though, maybe. I'm thinking, you know, from just a normal, you know, criminal being in lockup, than somebody who is like the key witness, key defendant in an international conspiracy. I mean, wouldn't they get a little bit different treatment than, say, Art Off the Grid? I don't know.
Well,
but,
generally, I mean, he's a high-profile inmate. He was at risk. One of the articles that I read from a former commissioner of that jail was basically saying, when you have somebody who is suicidal, the last thing you do is put them in solitary confinement, because that can drive them right over the edge.
Yeah, and I can't pretend to understand his state of mind, somebody that's done the horrible things, but I would think he would not want to go meet his maker if he has any fear or you know, belief that there might be an afterlife. I just almost find it hard to believe. And obviously he's a narcissist. Probably, people like that a lot of times think there's always a way out, you know, because he's gotten out of so many things before. But by the way, I don't know if this got out the last time I called in, but somebody told me to turn Rush Limbaugh on today. So I turned it on, and Rush Limbaugh was actually saying he doesn't believe Epstein's dead.
Yeah,
I heard him say it a couple of times. So that was erroneous from the previous caller. I don't know about Glenn Beck. I didn't even know Glenn Beck was still around. But yeah, Rush Limbaugh's out there leading the conspiracy charge for the normies. And yeah, you're right. One of the other callers were saying, I've been contacted by several people that are normies. I mean, they don't care anything about conspiracy or anything, and they're not buying it.
Yep.
They think it's suspicious, and I don't claim to know what happened. But anyway, I'll let you go.
All right, thanks an awful lot here, and we're going to go to W in Texas. W, thank you for waiting so patiently. What's on your mind? W, are you there?
Okay, great. I guess my first point is apparently about 8% of suicides are successful on Suicide Watch, local jails. But then today I heard on a popular show that at this particular facility, the last time a successful suicide happened was 44 years ago at this federal jail.
Yeah.
I don't know how accurate that is, but I heard today, so that's pretty amazing. Second point is with the New York Post, apparently they're the only publication that have those pictures of him on the gurney. And then I'm reading things that saying that's actually training photos, and they just photoshopped his face horizontally on that gurney to look like that. It looks pretty strange, to be honest. And plus, if he was already dead, would they just put him in the quarterback?
Door closed. I got startled. I don't think that image is photoshopped, but I'm starting to agree with those who are saying that isn't even Jeff Epstein, that they just found some guy who looked like him. I'd say Anthony Bourdain, but he was cremated, and put him on the gurney and wheeled him on out. Or maybe, like I said, my other theory is they took him into the hospital, technically still alive, and then they do this announcement, he's dead, and meanwhile, he changes clothes and he's out the back door heading for parts unknown.
Right. And the last third point is it's just interesting seeing the mainstream media it's an interesting time that so many people that have always said, well, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I've been seeing that a lot lately on the social media. So it's like a turning point here where folks are just not buying. They're being skeptical for once. They're not just buying the official narrative anymore. So that's really nice to see. So that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're going to switch over to Chris in Las Vegas. And Chris, I may have to take you through the commercial break. What's on your mind?
Well, thank you so much, Michael. And I certainly appreciate the comments by the previous callers. I am the one that doesn't feel particularly warm and fuzzy about the FBI coming in to supposedly investigate the alleged suicide of Epstein. I think that's likely more accurately to cover it up because they're usually complicit in covering up these high crimes of heads of state, which seem to proliferate around this particular scenario with the Massadamite operation. The other thing that I think is particularly noteworthy is that you have to have up-to-date information, and most of the federal facilities and many state facilities, as I can attest to from my being unlawfully arrested and incarcerated and kidnapped and taken psychopolitical warfare terrorism hostage up to Lakes Crossing Center in Sparks, Nevada, they definitely had cameras in all the rooms to observe the incarceratees or detainees, as the case may be.
Yep.
And because I had gone on a Gandhi-esque styled hunger strike, not eating the food they provided.
Okay, Chris.
Chris, come back.
Yeah, I got to put you back on hold. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Matt Ray for MySleepAllNight.com. And most of us don't even realize that almost all of the healing, learning, and rejuvenating that happens in our body happens only when we are deeply asleep. Now, if you have trouble falling asleep and staying asleep, it's likely you never consistently achieve that crucial level of deep sleep. Deep restorative sleep is the key to health, mood, productivity, longevity, memory, you name it. So many health benefits. To experience what deep sleep feels like, try the new dietary supplement Sleep All Night, formulated by scientist Kurt Hendricks. And sleep like your life depends on it because, let's be honest, it does. Head on over to MySleepAllNight.com. That's MySleepAllNight.com. Enter the promo code RADIO for 20% off your purchase. Again, head on over to MySleepAllNight.com. Enter the promo code RADIO. That's MySleepAllNight.com.
It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We here at RBN are working with Front Sight Firearms Training Institute to bring our audience the best in combat, tactical, and defensive firearms training. Whether you're a private citizen who is new to firearms or you have a concealed weapon permit and want a level of training that surpasses what you've received from your local gun range, Front Sight provides priceless education and skills taught by seasoned law enforcement, military, and private citizen instructors to levels that far exceed law enforcement and military standard. With nearly 1 million responsible citizens trained from every town, city, and state from across the United States, Front Sight has bolstered the Patriot movement to a whole new level. Contact Dan Sutterfield by phone at 573-762-2356 or 573-465-2356 or shoot him an email at domedan, DOMEDAN @hotmail.com. This is a limited time opportunity. Don't miss it.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When your doctor tells you you have bad cholesterol or blockages in the arteries, what do? When diet and exercise is not enough, we try medications and hope for the best. For the last 2 decades, I have been telling people about a natural method to help solve these problems and more. Extendovite can help maintain cardiovascular health and lower blood lipid levels in adults. The 7 herbs in Extendovite are known to work together synergistically to get the results we hope for. There are many testimonials on Extendovite's effect on circulatory-related ailments. Get Extendivite today to start your journey back to a healthier life. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or see us on amazon.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. We'll plant them anywhere you like and blow up anyone. Whip this world into a frenzy, killing babies, dads, and moms. If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. If you got the money, well, we won't say we did. The towers in
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here, and we're talking with, oh my goodness, W in Texas, I think. No, Chris in Las Vegas. I lost my place. So take it up where you left it off, Chris.
Well, I'd been taken hostage up to the Lakes Crossing high security prison and so-called mental ill healthcare facility up in Lakes Crossing, Nevada, where I was gang force injected with a bioterror weapon, and therefore I was demonstrating peacefully in a Gandhi-esque fashion by going on hunger strike. And of course they alleged I was suicidal because of that, because I like the color in the worst possible light. So I crafted a sign and put it up in the window there so it'd be on camera and burn into the image that I was not suicidal. I was merely protesting my forcible injection against my will because they had a financial interest in having everybody 100% compliant with their injection they claimed was a test. And so I assure Art and other callers that many of these facilities do have cameras. This was a fully integrated, both racially and sexually. There were women and men in there together of all different flavors. And so they had to have cameras in the hallways and in the rooms to make sure you weren't doing something inappropriate, supposedly.
Yeah.
So it was quite an interesting introduction to the prison system and gave me some insights that some people don't have, that they absolutely should have had if a guy was on suicidal watch, some sort of video surveillance. And I likely expect they did have cameras on there, although they've claimed that they were all not functioning, which I find to be highly suspect at the very least.
I agree.
Thank you so much, Michael. I'll let myself go. Have a great day.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Mark in North Carolina. Aloha, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Mike. First of all, what Mark said, at least as far as I know, is true. I certainly was, as far as the Texas Department of Criminal Justice or Texas Department of Corrections, when they went out, the cameras could see the common area outside the cell. In a lot of respects, those cameras are watching the officers more than the inmate to make sure the officers did their job. They were actually watching both because in a day room and all. But there's no way. I was in a high security prison. I worked in a high security prison. For about a year, a little over a year, but about a year and a half, I actually worked in what's called a PAMIO, which is the mental health part of the prison. So physically aggressive, mentally ill inmates. That's the actual term for it. And when we had it, we used to get, this is a specialized unit, state, and even other facilities around the state would send their inmates after trying to commit suicide over. And first of all, the first thing they did, they were completely stripped nude. When I say nothing, you know, just like they came out just the way they were born. And they'd be observed. And once they started.
Okay, Mark. Yeah, Mark, got to put you on hold. Got to take a station identification break. We'll be right back.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show, hour number 2. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And, boy, the phone lines are just filled up here. We're talking with Mark in North Carolina. And everybody pretty much agrees this whole thing stinks to high heaven.
Yeah. The thing is this, it's almost impossible when you listen to their stories, because even after the inmate was considered stabilized, all he'd be allowed to have is a pair of underpants. This could last for weeks, even months, and a specialized blanket. I forget what it was made out of, but it was impossible to hang oneself with that blanket. And everything was, the inmate wasn't on camera by himself, but everything else, including what you did, and you better have made your first 15 minute, and then as the inmate stabilized a little bit, your 30-minute checks around the clock. You better, and the camera better see you making those checks, okay? And when you do those checks, if you see anything even suspicious, if it looks like the inmate might not be breathing, or it may just be the angle, or maybe he covered himself with that blanket and you can't tell, you had to yell, hey, move for me. Move your leg, move your foot. Let me make sure you're alive. Something like that. That's what I used to do. I said, let me make sure you're alive. And as long as they moved, I went on my way, But that's the way it's done. The thing is this, these cameras conveniently now broke down. Come on. I believe that as much as I believe that passport from one of the terrorists was found in pristine condition there after the plane crashed into the World Trade Center. That's how much I believe that those cameras broke down. All right? This is all nonsense. This is either a murder or possibly, I don't count out the fact that this guy was, taken out of there and moved probably to Israel, because that was, I believe, the whole thing. In the first place, it was a Mossad operation, a blackmail operation. Part of the reason you see what's going on in the Middle East today, why we're doing what we're doing, why Israel practically runs this country. And there you go. It's blackmail operations like this. Now, as far as the FBI investigating this now, that's like after World War II, at the at Nuremberg, we would have let the Nazi SS do the investigating and war crimes. That's about the same thing. The FBI shouldn't be involved in these investigations, nor should they be involved in the shooting. All these shootings are around the country. FBI should be, I think they should be dismantled, but they certainly shouldn't be involved in things where they actually, I believe, are suspects in this whole thing. And another thing I want to point out too, the Bureau of Prisons, the Federal Bureau of Prisons, is directly under the Justice Department, Department of Justice. Okay, that means Barr is in charge.
Yes.
All right. And if you've made it clear to the warden of that prison that this guy better be make it to trial alive in one piece, believe me, he would have made it to trial in one piece. This wouldn't have happened. So I think everybody is a suspect to me, including Barr.
Yes.
going right up the chain, and possibly Trump himself. Okay, they did not want this guy alive, or they wanted him out of the country, I don't know, with another identity and Israeli citizen. But whatever it is, that's the way it is. There's no reason to believe this story at all. It's a crime. People need to commit. By the way, I told you something like this would happen. Remember?
Yep.
Remember I said when I looked at what happened to Whitey Bulger?
Yep.
Who was most likely who knew that Mueller was dirty. Remember what happened to him? Transferred to a higher security prison, had his head smashed in almost the minute he arrived in that new prison. Okay, that doesn't happen unless the authorities want it to happen, and it's arranged. Okay.
Yeah.
And that included in that part again the Department of Justice. Something got to be done. I don't know what. We don't have anybody we can trust doing investigations. Trump, like I told you before, at the very least is an idiot. At the very worst, he's part of it. I don't know. I really haven't figured him out totally yet. But all I can say, Mike, is this country better wake up, or we're not going to have the United States of America.
Well, I think from the reactions I'm seeing to this Epstein story, I think the corporate media just blew what little was left of their credibility, and people are just saying, "Oh, come on."
Like you, me, and a few of your people that listen to you, like I don't know, maybe Frank from North Carolina, the guy who used to be an inmate himself that called you before.
Yeah.
And a couple of, what's the guy from New Jersey, Dustin from New Jersey? If we got together, we could do a better investigation of this thing than the FBI. I can assure you that, or than the Justice Department. Okay, because we would want to find out what's going on.
Yes.
Okay, but that's not going to happen. You know, that's dreaming. But that's basically the way it is. These people cannot be trusted. The FBI is a criminal organization. Shouldn't be. Again, it's just like having the SS investigate the Nazi war crimes of World War II. Basically, what it comes down to. And that's pretty much all I have to say. You know.
All righty. Well, thank you for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Joe in California. Aloha, Joe. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Mike, this Epstein story does not stink to high heaven. This country stinks to high heaven. I mean, are we living, I mean, I've said this before, are we living in a banana republic where a case of this importance that the target of the case can't even be brought to court alive? Are we living in a banana republic or a first world developed country? I mean, I've heard Mark from North Carolina say this over and over again, how he used to be in the criminal justice system, or he used to work for the police. This is a joke. What kind of people do we have? What kind of people do we have working? Kind of people who are working in these jobs as guards. I mean, they either look the other way or they're bought and paid for. And the reason why I called was I wanted to check on the video, and I guess I've heard from you and others that it wasn't working. How convenient! Just like those cameras that were near the Pentagon on 9/11.
Yes.
Cameras never work. The ones at Walmart, they're either grainy or they don't work. It's a joke. I guess we got the worst cameras in this country. I mean, it's just beyond. I mean, it's just forget it. I mean, and you're not going to see any changes from the political system. Israel owns this country, lock, stock, and barrel. I was listening to a guy on, I think he was on one of the other YouTube shows, where he was saying how they own all of the British, the main political parties, the Labour Party, the Conservatives, the Liberal Democrats. They own the world. You can call me crazy. They own the world, these people.
Okay, well, thanks for the phone call, Joe. I got to clear the phone lines and get back to news here. Let's go to Jennifer in Nashville. Jennifer, thank you for waiting patiently. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. I just want to give you, before I start talking, people who work in the criminal justice system is Mark from South Carolina. I think he's bringing this is just a side note, I think he's bringing yourself to a screaming halt. I mean, I think we should keep him down to about 2 minutes, because I haven't listened to your show in like 6 months, and there he is again, on and on. Joe's fine. Anyway, so I was asking you what you thought about Tulsi Gabbard. I haven't listened to you like 6 months. I really missed. Are you in the States yet or no? Or in the
I'm
mainland?
still in Hawaii. I'm in Hawaii until the end of the month.
Oh. You know, I'm a huge fan, Mike. I mean, I love like you and Claire. I love the show.
Thank
But
you.
I'm saying like Mark gets on my nerves worse than Dustin. I mean, like he just keeps on and dragging on. Like Joe, I mean, from California, he's fine. I just want to, if we could keep him down. I mean, I've listened to the show forever, right? There he is again, on and on and on. He works the criminal justice system, right? I'm actually from Texas. That's where I live. I'm here in Nashville working. But I was going to ask you about Tulsi Gabbard, and I guess I want to ask you about Epstein, but I guess I don't have the show on, right? But what do you think about Tulsi Gabbard and her Camille Harris run out?
Okay.
Like that? Did you like whenever you watch the debates with the Democrats at all, or no?
I didn't watch the last debate because I was busy packing here. But I'll tell you right now, I'm losing my enthusiasm for Tulsi Gabbard ever since she came out in favor of arming Ukraine. And to me, her main attraction as a candidate was an anti-war stance, and she's basically blown that one.
Right. But like, I just kind of like when she kind of like, made Kamala Harris like just totally like, tremble. But I'm still going to vote on Donald Trump. I'm still going to do it because I'm gay. I'm from Texas. I've lost all my friends. But anyway, I want to tell you that I really think you're awesome, and I'm sorry being a little obnoxious right now. I think your show's great. I want you to blow up and like make way more money than you could ever imagine. I think your show's great. I love the whole dynamic with you and Claire. I mean, I think you could do great. I thought you should be your agent or something.
Maybe that's what I need to have. Okay, I'd like to be making a lot more money too. We're just, we basically had to sell almost everything we've got to pay for this move, and we had some very generous donations come on in to help us with the move, especially this last weekend. But I actually kind of thought when Trump won in 2016 that we were going to see a seismic shift within the media where all these paid professional correspondents and prostitutes were going to be given pink slips, and the corporate media, in order to try and rebuild their audience, was going to start hiring more people from the independent media who have reputations for credibility. And of course, that did not happen.
Well, I want to tell you, I have like several lesbian friends. Like I'm in the gay community, right? And I play there, and they're like going, "Oh, you want?" I go to my friend's house, right? Like I've known her for 20 years, lesbian. So she's like, she thinks you're great. Like I think you just could do. That's really like I really have lots of hope that I think you might blow up one day. I really do.
Well, thank you for the compliments.
Like, make it you,
Yep.
You're welcome. Love you, Mike.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go and switch over to Tony in Puerto Rico. Aloha, Tony. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha, Mike. I'm the last person to criticize anybody. But, people are just so naive. The old saying that politics is business, there's interest involved. That's what happened to Jeffrey Epstein. It was all politics. It was business. It was about interest, okay? He just made the Arkansas list. Thank you, Mike.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Tom in Florida. Aloha, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, good day, Michael. Michael, let me ask you, is this guy Epstein related to Weinstein?
I have
They related?
no idea. I don't think so.
Well, I'll tell you why I say this, Michael, because Weinstein and Hillary Clinton are real tight, and Bill Clinton and Epstein are real tight. So the circle must be where they all know each other, wouldn't you think?
Well, yeah, they certainly know each other. The
So
elites are a small
Weinstein was
group.
so hard up for Michael. If Weinstein was so hard up for sex with all these actresses, why did he go to the island with Epstein? Are there pictures of Weinstein and Epstein together? And Donald Trump tweeted out something about Hillary, because people are all saying that Hillary conspiracy with Hillary or Chelsea or something had to do with Chelsea. You heard about that?
No, I didn't hear one about Chelsea.
Was planning with Epstein.
I heard one where Hillary went down to that island at one point, but no confirmation on that one.
Well, Michael, I think it's all Kabbalah. I think it's a big cabal. You got this Epstein, Weinstein, and all these Steens, and all this nincompoop stuff with Rosenstein, and all this nonsense they're trying to take Trump. I mean, it's utterly ridiculous. And then you got, watching that idiot Biden the other day, everything that comes out of his mouth is a bumbling. He looks like a bumbling idiot.
Yeah.
This guy, after they're going to run for president, Michael, I don't understand what's going on. But I do understand this. Anywhere the Democrats are running, like I was telling Dustin, they destroy every city. You know what the car insurance is in some of those cities for car insurance?
Yeah.
Chicago? It's insanity. Matter of fact, if they could get Chicago out of Illinois, that state would go red. That's something they really need to work on. But another thing is, though, back to this guy Epstein. What did this guy do so great that made him a billionaire? What was this guy doing to make this kind of money? How did what? And Michael, I want to ask you a question. What is a casting couch? You know anything about the casting couch?
Well, I've certainly heard about it when I was working in Hollywood, but that was basically the idea that, young actresses, in order to get a role in a movie, would have sex with the producers. And sometimes it was demanded by the producers. Sometimes the girls just offer because they know it gives them an edge.
There was a great story about the casting couch. Was back in the 60s. I remember my mother was telling me about. I was a young man, I was a young guy. She was telling me about this guy, Sal. He was in a movie, Rebel Without a Cause, with James Dean. What was his name? Sal Mineo?
Yes.
And how this guy was on the casting couch to get a part in Hollywood. And it wasn't because, we're talking about something very dark here, okay? Very dark. Like what, basically like what Cosby was supposedly doing, drugging these women out. But, it was to the point where even back in the golden era of Hollywood, you had the casting couch, and you had these dark minions in Hollywood, the producer, whatever, they were running the whole shebang. And how these people get parts in movies and stuff. I was like, what? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I don't know if you ever saw the story years ago, Michael. Have you ever heard the story about Corey Feldman?
Yes.
You read that story?
Yes.
That was an amazing story I read, and I couldn't believe what I was reading. I picked that up I think it was at a Winn-Dixie or a Publix supermarket, and I'm like waiting in line. I'm reading this, and I couldn't put it down because once I got into it, I'm like, wow, look at this guy's exposing here. But, getting back to Weinstein and Epstein and Rosenstein and all these Steens, they must really think people are so stupid that they'll never get caught, like they're above the law, like Hillary. She is above the law. Who's kidding who, Michael?
Yep.
She's above the law. Comey, homie. These people are above the law. There's no question about it. Now, let's get back to this island, Michael. Look at the island this guy Epstein had, right?
Yes.
What parent, now you tell me, Michael, all your audience, I want somebody to call in and ask, what parent's going to allow a 14, 15-year-old girl to go to an island unless you're on drugs? Do you think I would allow my daughter to go down there and go on an island so she can be in a bikini walking around or naked for some perverted?
I've got a strong sense that a lot of these teenage girls went to the island without informing their parents.
Well, Michael, there's called laws, and that's why the guy got busted. When a girl's 15 years old and a parent doesn't know his 15-year-old's missing, wouldn't the FBI be involved? When they're 18, it's a different ballgame. They can do whatever they want. Well, we're looking at the age here factor. If these girls are 15 years old, there's no way a girl's going to go to an island for 2-3 weeks giving sex to some schmuck. I don't buy that. And if that was the case, he should have been busted years ago. Not this now.
Well, he was busted years ago, but then they gave him a wrist slap. And, the girls may be telling their parents some other story, that they're going away to summer camp, or summer school or something like that. But I don't think a lot of the parents understood until after the fact exactly what was going on.
Right. Well, Michael, I still think Hillary, what she did, and this is kind of a strange situation with this Epstein. Hillary getting off by the FBI and Comey and all that nonsense, and that when he had that big thing when he was talking about before the election in 2016, This whole thing is a cabal, Michael. And you know what? Another thing I want to ask you. I saw in the news just now, Chicago had 36 shootings over the weekend.
Yep.
3 dead. And what I want to ask you to do some research on, Michael, because you're more in tune to doing all this than I ever would be. How many of these people that get wounded actually die? They talk, 3 murdered over the weekend and 33 of them are wounded. Well, how many of those wounded ones die? And what kind of wounds are we talking here? Getting shot at a .223 round or whatever they're getting. You shoot. What kind of catastrophic wounds are these people getting? All these hundreds and thousands of people every day or every year in the cities.
The .223, when it hits the body, it tumbles. That's why it causes damage. All right, listen, Tom, need to let you go.
I'm going to hang on.
Need to got to let you go. I've got more callers to get to. We'll be right back.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. September 2018. Extendivite works in keeping my blood pressure in the normal range. I've been using Extendivite for many years now. May 2018. Great product. I use regularly and I rarely get sick. March 2018. This product has relieved what appeared to be angina pain in my chest and shortness of breath after climbing stairs. I'm quite happy about it. February 2018. My husband, son, and I have been using this product for a few months now, and we have noticed an improvement in our joints and blood pressure. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. We're trying to clear the phone lines so we can get back to some news. Richard in Alabama, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
I think it's hopeless to expect any member of the legal profession to do anything for us, whether we vote him into office or hire him. He's never going to help us because he has a fatal conflict of interest. All of the Bar Association judges adjourn the venue of their office. None of them actually work in their office. They adjourn that venue, and then they convene their own private Bar Association venue for administrative settlement of undisputed claims in international commerce, wherein the specie of settlement is units of credit from the IMF. Always units of credit, because there are no more dollars
Okay,
and
and
no more money.
what does this have to do with Jeff Epstein?
You're never going to get any member of the legal profession to help in that investigation.
We got that, yes.
Yeah.
Okay?
The audience got it? I guess they do.
All right. So thank you for the phone call, Richard. We're going to switch over to Dustin in New Jersey. Aloha, Dustin. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Mike, I'm going to have to add it to the chorus. Yeah, I think he got away. I don't think he was killed, because if you look at the first time he got busted, so-called, he got a 13-month wrist slap, and he was allowed to go back to his mansion half the day, right, I believe?
Yeah. It was work release, they
it's
called
not
it.
about, yeah, but it's not all about how much money he's got, it's how much power he's got. And people with that power, they do have the dead man switches, like we heard from previous callers. If they kill him, the dead man switches get released. If they don't kill him and it goes to trial, it drags on, and it might bring out some unsavory stuff from the people who are involved. And then there's the third option, to pull this stunt off, where the cameras down in the the hallway don't work, or this or that, to get him out. And he's not going back to his island. He's going somewhere else. I don't know where he's going, but yeah, he got away. And you know what, Mike? This takes it off the media coverage, because in about a week or two, something else will happen, and this story is going to disappear, other than the civil lawsuit that people have, the victims have on his estate. That's it. This is how it works, people. I mean, and like, this is what I keep saying. It's the United States of Empire. This is an oligarchy. This is the system we got, the just us system, not the justice system. And Bill Barr, I'm sorry, but I don't think he's crying crocodile tears. Because I'm still waiting for those indictments. Where are those indictments, Sean Hannity and all these other people said were coming, Mike? They're not coming. Nothing's coming. The indictments ain't coming. This dude gets away.
Yep.
But Mike, if I still got time, I just want to switch gears real quick.
Real quick. You got about a minute and a half.
Yeah. I just want you to talk about, like, obviously the stock market stuff, the bond market. The bond market and the stock, because these are more important things, I believe, than that, because this has to do with us. But that's all I got to say, Mike. Have a good show.
All right, thanks an awful lot, Justin, here, and the phone lines are open, and as long as Dustin brought it up. Bad day on the stock market. The Dow ended 391 Dow, and so, yeah, it's getting kind of ugly out there. All right, so let's wrap up here with Jeff Epstein, because regardless of whether you think he's actually dead or if this was a spectacular prison break, the fact of the matter is nobody's buying the official story. And this is further damaging the credibility of the corporate media, not to mention the government itself. So, article came on out here from Chimp Planet saying maybe Epstein is in witness protection, and maybe one of his excessively wealthy and powerful friends helped him escape, and he's somewhere drinking mojitos and laughing at the coverage of his untimely demise. And again, he supposedly tried to commit suicide 2 weeks ago, or maybe his cellmate, who was a bodybuilder, ex-cop murderer, tried to take Epstein out, although the bodybuilder, murderer, ex-cop says he saved him. So he was taken off suicide watch, allegedly trying to kill himself 2 weeks previously. It has been reported that he was removed from suicide watch at the request of his attorneys. Now, Epstein is a cash cow for those attorneys. Why would they want him off suicide watch? Unless they wanted a gap of time where they could be guaranteed they would not be disturbed. So just hold that thought in your head. Anyway, Epstein's cause of death is still not official after the autopsy, according to the medical examiner. The medical examiner's office needs further information before determining a cause of death. So they're dragging that one out as well. Over at MSNBC, Joy Reid suggests that Attorney General Barr is a possible suspect in Epstein's death. Boy, they're just pointing the fingers everywhere. All right, we're going to take another break for commercials. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you some from Amazon.com. This product is superb. I have been taking it for about a year now, and I can feel my cardiovascular system run like a Swiss watch. I definitely recommend this product for anyone that has high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and heart palpitations, A+. It's potent, but it works. I have been waking up for the past 3 years with numb hands, and a week into using Extendivite, my numb hands seem to have cleared up. My circulation was off, and now it's back on track. So I'm happy. I feel so energized, and I have my husband on it now. My mother-in-law has cholesterol problems, so I bought her a bottle as well. Thank you so much. Love the product. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Join Mike on the air. Call toll-free 800-313-9443. 800-313-9443.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And wrapping up here with the Jeff Epstein story. Over at MSNBC, Joy Reid suggests that Attorney General William Barr be considered a possible suspect in Epstein's death. Another MSNBC host, Joe Scarborough, as we mentioned earlier, says this feels like a Russian plot. So they're just all over the place. Even Alec Baldwin is jumping on the bandwagon to say that Jeffrey Epstein was killed by Russians. So, according to this story over at LA Progressive, there was a all right. There was a story that was released in the press that the video camera monitoring Epstein's cell had broken down. And so that's where that originated from. You know, unless somebody gets in there and takes a look, we're never really going to know one way or the other. So when William Barr was told there were a lot of snickers about the faulty camera claim, the Justice Department updated the story to claim that all of the cameras in the prison had failed on that fatal night. So I think Barr is part of the problem. Now, Barr is talking tough. He's out there talking tough, saying they should not rest easy. And Bill Barr is issuing a stark warning to Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirators as the investigation wades through thousands of new documents and threatens to implicate the world's most powerful men, and maybe one or two women as well. Okay, now, interestingly enough, somebody put up a post over at 4chan, and it was up 10 minutes before the news media got wind of Jeffrey Epstein's claimed death. And the person doing this post on 4chan claims that an unmarked van and unknown military personnel showed up at the Metropolitan Correctional Center Friday night, where accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein was being held, and switched him out with a dead look-alike. So that's one report. Now, a lot of people are saying maybe Epstein goes on the Clinton body count list. I'm not convinced yet. Epstein had a lot of enemies. He was a threat to a lot of people. So Clinton was mentioned in the Epstein documents just hours before the alleged suicide. But did you know that J.P. Morgan also has a body count? And Epstein had close ties to J.P. Morgan Chase, and he joins a roster of suspicious deaths connected to J.P. Morgan Chase, particularly among its technology executives who allegedly jumped to their death from J.P. Morgan buildings, died in 2 separate cases of murder-suicides in 7 months, died of alcohol poisoning, or in the most recent case of Doug Carucci in March of this year, simply died tragically and suddenly with all efforts to obtain this tiny shred of information about what happened, hitting a brick wall. So, as I mentioned earlier in the program, Reuters is reporting that Jeffrey Epstein was in fact considering cooperation in naming names in exchange for a reduced sentence. So, now apparently Robert Maxwell's daughter, rumors are swirling that she's getting ready to cooperate with U.S. authorities. I bet she's going to get really, really depressed all of a sudden. So Ghislaine Maxwell was last night reported to be ready to cooperate with the American authorities in their ongoing investigation into Prince Andrew's late friend, Jeffrey Epstein. So a lot, and of course, this has got the royal family all upset. And there's concern that Prince Andrew, Queen Elizabeth's son, might be dragged deeper and deeper into this mess following the alleged suicide of Jeffrey Epstein. So Ghislaine is the key now. The focus is on her because Jeff Epstein is now beyond justice, either in a coffin or down in the Cayman Islands here. And it is proving very difficult for the royal family. The royal families work hard at being royal. They work hard on their image. They don't take scandal lightly. And so apparently the Queen has moved Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson into the Balmoral Castle up in Scotland, which is very remotely located. It's not set up to allow the crowd to approach, and she's just going to keep them out of sight for a while here. Alrighty, so that's all we've got on Epstein today. Let's see what else is going on out there. 2 weeks ago, Judge John Coltle of the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York delivered a devastating blow to the U.S.-led conspiracy against WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. And basically, in his ruling, Judge Coltle, who was a Bill Clinton nominee and former assistant special prosecutor for the Watergate Special Prosecution Force, dismissed with prejudice a civil lawsuit filed in April 2018 by the Democratic National Committee alleging WikiLeaks was civilly liable for conspiring with the Russian government to steal DNC emails and data and leak them to the public. Now, with prejudice means the lawsuit cannot be refiled. So Jennifer Robinson, who's one of Assange's lawyers, said that the ruling is an important win for free speech. And it did expose the fact that the Democratic Party was in a conspiracy of its own to attract freedom of speech and cover up the crimes of U.S. imperialism and the corrupt activities of the two parties of Wall Street. This according to the judge here. Now, Attorney General Bill Barr still has another problem besides Jeff Epstein, and that is the 2018 Department of Justice and FBI cover-up to protect the Senate Intelligence Committee, and how that committee was being used to support Robert Mueller in his pursuance of a soft coup against the President of the United States of America. And when you understand what the group was doing in early 2017, you understand why the FBI used Bruce Orr as the go-between to contact with Christopher Steele. Now, Lindsey Graham is out there saying that the Bruce Orr notes are just the tip of the iceberg of systematic corruption at the Department of Justice and the FBI. So it's very teasing and tantalizing, and you know, there's a lot out there. But I'm still not seeing indictments. I'm still not seeing jail time. And I don't know, is the new thing now that you'll go to jail for a few days and all of a sudden you're suicided, your body disappears, and that's the end of the story? Over at the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, the House Democrats' powerful campaign arm, it has just abruptly purged half a dozen staffers. Why? Did these staffers do anything wrong? No. Were they good workers? Yes. Well, why were they let go? Because they are white. It appears nobody had anything against these particular staffers except for the color of their skin, although roughly half the committee's full-time staff, 13 out of 27, were non-white. This was not enough for some Democratic members of Congress. They complained to DCC Chairwoman Cheri Bustos of Illinois had brought in too many white staffers when she won the position. And they put enough pressure on her that she sacrificed her loyal staffers to the god of diversity. Now, my comment to that is very, very simple. Racism in reverse is still racism. If it's evil and racist to discriminate against blacks, it's evil and racist to discriminate against whites. Period. End of discussion. All right, Donald Trump has been talking a lot about bringing the internet back under control. And a lot of people are very concerned that there's been a leaked draft of a Trump executive order. And it's already being denounced as a dangerous and unconstitutional edict because it basically, they're claiming whatever political party is in power will dictate what speech is allowed on the internet. If the Democrats are in charge, then it'll be Democratic liberal speech is allowed. If it's conservatives in charge, it'll be conservative speech that is allowed. Whatever happened to the idea of balance and the sharing of ideas? Down in Sarasota, Florida, a gentleman by the name of Timothy James Ireland Jr. was convicted of dealing in stolen property. He has an outstanding warrant for failure to appear. And apparently he is now being charged with making threats against Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez after he wrote on Facebook, "The New York Democrat should be shot." So, anyway, I think I mentioned this earlier in the program, but I'm going to go through it again. Apparently, a shooter opened fire on a crowd gathered in Garland Park in Chicago's West Side, leaving 6 people wounded. Nobody died. So all I can say is it's a good thing Chicago has such strict gun control. Otherwise, anybody could have a gun. Now, Lindsey Graham has come on out admitting he owns a semi-automatic rifle in case of apocalyptic lawlessness, so looters know not to come to the AR-15 home. So the politicians want these kind of guns for themselves and their security. They just don't want you to have them. Okay. Over the last 24 hours in Syria, the army has liberated several areas in southern Idlib. And the Damascus army continued its military operations in northern Syria, regaining control of a strategic region and the nearby hills in southern Idlib. So I'll bet you those jihadis are now regretting having broken that ceasefire. All right, John Bolton is on his way to London, and his agenda is to lobby for a harsher UK stance on Iran and also on Huawei. And this is part of the U.S. maximum pressure campaign against Iran. But these policies found little support in the previous UK cabinet. So they're going to go on over and try the new cabinet of Prime Minister Boris Johnson to align its foreign policies more with the American maximum pressure campaign against Iran and to discard its plans to use Huawei equipment in developing its 5G networks. I don't think Bolton is going to get either one of those. Okay, this is getting a little scary. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is going after American citizens who have already attended or plan to attend the New Horizon conference held by an Iranian media expert to discuss major global issues. Now, a Virginia-based ex-Pentagon official said FBI agents were knocking at his door at 6:30 a.m. in May, cited by Medium.com. Now, Malouf had traveled to Mashhad in northeastern Iran to attend last year's New Horizon conference and was one of the guests invited to the next conference, which will be held in the Lebanese capital of Beirut this September. The agents, however, warned him of consequences if he decides to attend. Real mafia-like stuff here. The British Army is moving more than 11,000 men, women, and children back to Great Britain from Germany. They want to base their armed forces in the UK. The United States is basically doing a veiled ultimatum to Germany. Germany's response was, well, if you're going to leave, take everything. Take your nukes with you. And Berlin may use the ultimatum as an opportunity to push for the withdrawal of all American assets from Germany. So, not working too well. Over in Benghazi, Libya, there was a car bomb attack targeting United Nations officials, leaving 2 dead and 10 wounded. The blast killed 2 UN staff identified as United Nations Libyan mission guards, with an additional 10 people wounded, among them children. Have you noticed that there's not really a lot of diplomacy happening right now? It's all bullying and threatening, and sanctions and aggression are being thrown about with reckless abandon. And even America's own supposed European allies are subject to sanctions by Washington in a high-handed dismissal of any mutual dialogue to resolve alleged grievances. That's a bad, bad scenario right here. More talk is coming out of Washington, D.C. regarding embargoes against Venezuela and Iran. And of course, all of this is illegal. It's against international laws. It's considered an undeclared act of war to blockade a country. So you just have to wonder, how much longer can we go on before something snaps and the whole world just ignites? Okay, now apparently this idea of Turkey invading Syria has been called off. They had negotiations in Ankara, and U.S. and Turkish officials reached an agreement on Wednesday to create a joint operations center and set up a safe zone east of the Euphrates in northeastern Syria. Now, the fine details of the deal have not been disclosed, but this was basically in response to President Erdogan's announcement on Sunday that Turkey was prepared to carry out a unilateral cross-border operation to push back Kurdish militias on the Syrian border east of the Euphrates River. Now, Syria is saying that the U.S.-Turkey safe zone deal is a plot for expansionist ambitions. So they're concerned they will not get the land back. All right, we're going to take a break for station identification. We'll be right back.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Don't regret growing old. It's a privilege denied to many. Heart disease is taking our youth from us. Young people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond are dying needlessly. One of the hardest messages I've ever had to deliver is to convince people that something natural like Extendivite should be taken as a preventative measure. I'm sure you heard an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Extendivite is that ounce. Take Extendivite for 1 year and see what your doctor has to say and how much better you feel. Herbs take time to address the problem. It took years of life to have a problem. Give Extendivite 1 year to fix the problem. Don't wait until it's too late. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or visit us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I'm getting older and noticing that my body just doesn't work as well as it used to. So I like to try to keep fit as possible by hitting the gym a few times a week. And recently I started having a nagging bicep pain and I couldn't lift weights. When I was complaining about it to a friend of mine, he told me about Angioprim. He said chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in the veins and arteries that may cause blockages. After 1 week of taking Angioprim, The pain was gone, and I'm back in the gym full strength. Find out more. Go to angioprim.com, ANGIOPRIM.com. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in Angioprim helps promote cardiovascular health. Talk to a trained consultant, or you can call Angioprim toll-free at 877-882-8221. That's 877-882-7221. This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And over in Hong Kong, the diplomatic situation is deteriorating greatly. And a lot of it has to do with that photo of the U.S. diplomat who met with the student leaders of Hong Kong's pro-democracy movement. And the rhetoric is ramping up. And according to the U.S. State Department, Chinese reports on the U.S. diplomat in Hong Kong have gone from irresponsible to dangerous. And they're demanding you have to stop. Well, from Hong Kong's point of view, this only reinforces their suspicion that the U.S. government is behind these protests. And they are getting very serious out there. Apparently, the protesters seized the Hong Kong airport, just poured in all kinds of people. It got to the point where authorities had to ground flights because the airport was basically paralyzed. It's one of the busiest in the world. They had to cancel more than 100 flights. Now, this was actually, surprisingly, a peaceful demonstration as opposed to the previous nights where there's rubber bullets and tear gas and a lot of violence. But mainland China is now apparently threatening a military invasion of Hong Kong. And military vehicles, reportedly passed through the customs facility in Shenzhen, China, on the road to Hong Kong. No confirmation that they are there yet, but it does seem like that's where they're heading. North Korea says they will not stop missile tests. They reject talks with Seoul unless it ends the drills with the United States. And we just put up another story where apparently Kim Jong-un sent Donald Trump a little message saying, as soon as the drills are over, let's restart the talks. So it's kind of hard to know what's really going on. The one thing is, every time Kim Jong-un gets another meeting with Donald Trump, his stature is greatly improved around the world and certainly within his own population. Okay, over in Israel, it's the first day of Eid, and over 1,700 settlers storm the Al-Aqsa Mosque. And this, of course, is a flashpoint. So apparently 1,729 Jewish settlers entered the compound, backed up by Israeli police officers. The Israeli forces used tear gas and rubber bullets to basically beat back the Palestinians who were basically trying to keep the Israelis from entering the mosque. Over in Europe, they're getting ready to add warning labels on products made in the contested territories. And apparently, residents of two northern Russian cities are stocking up on iodine. Apparently, there's the music. Time for station identification. More about the Russian rocket after these few words.
It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We here at RBN are working with Front Sight Firearms Training Institute to bring our audience the best in combat, tactical, and defensive firearms training. Whether you're a private citizen who is new to firearms or you have a concealed weapon permit and want a level of training that surpasses what you've received from your local gun range, Front Sight provides priceless education and skills taught by seasoned law enforcement, military, and private citizen instructors to levels that far exceed law enforcement and military standard. With nearly 1 million responsible citizens trained from every town, city, and state from across the United States, Front Sight has bolstered the Patriot movement to a whole new level. Contact Dan Sutterfield by phone at 573-762-2356 or 573-465-2356 or shoot him an email at domedan, DOMEDAN, at hotmail.com. This is a limited time opportunity. Don't miss it.
This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here, and hour number 3. Phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And we're talking about over in Russia, these two northern Russian cities. The residents are stocking up on iodine, which is used to reduce the effects of radiation exposure. Apparently, there was an accident on a nearby military testing site where a rocket that included a small nuclear reactor exploded. So we don't know if the nuclear reactor was supposed to be powering the rocket or it was an RTG designed to power the instrument package. Meanwhile, over in India and Kashmir, things are very, very tense. And you have this hair-trigger nuclear alert looming over Kashmir. And Kashmir has been a sore point ever since Britain divided India in 1947. India and Pakistan have fought many wars and conflicts over majority Muslim Kashmir. China controls a big chunk of northern Kashmir, known as Aksai Chin. Now, in 1949, the UN mandated a referendum to determine if Kashmiris wanted to join Pakistan or India. Not surprisingly, India refused to hold the vote. But there are some Kashmiris who want an independent state, though the majority seek to join Pakistan. Now, China has decided to wade into this discussion and basically saying that this issue over Kashmir should be resolved peacefully according to United Nations resolutions and bilateral accords between India and Pakistan. Okay, you're going to love this next story. We have been talking about all the money that goes into America's weapons and what poor quality comes out the other end. And we have a new story about the F-22, where apparently somebody over at the Wisconsin Air Show got some close-up photos of an F-22 sitting on the ground and noticed that the stealth coating was badly cracked and peeling off. And worse, the metal underneath the stealth coating was rusty, very rusty. So these machines are not being taken care of. And they're not well built to begin with. Vast sums of money, and we're getting junk for it. Now, Friday, I mentioned this on how the National Transportation Safety Board had released its analysis of the August 21st, 2017 collision between the USS John S. McCain and the tanker Alnick MC. And they blame things like insufficient training, inadequate bridge operating procedures, and a lack of operational oversight. But they did name one other issue. And apparently on the USS John S. McCain bridge, there are touch screens everywhere. And it's not always sure which touchscreen is in charge of the helm and the throttle, and that may have been part of this inadequate bridge operating procedures. So starting, I think it was next year, the Navy is going to remove those touchscreens and go back to good old-fashioned mechanical linkages, where you get that tactile response from shoving the throttle forward and pulling it back and turning the helm. I think they should have run more simulations with those touchscreens before they committed to putting them in those ships. Okay, in a new report, William Hartung and Abby Smithberger, who are analysts of U.S. military spending, says that U.S. security spending will total $1.1 trillion, most of which goes to foreign wars and weapons systems and veterans care. One small but crucial portion of the budget goes to intelligence activities that are not disclosed to taxpayers or the public. And these funds are paid out in what are known as black budgets. You can't see what's inside. The SR-71, before the public knew of its existence, that was a black project aircraft. So, all righty. Apparently, Navy leaders dismissed a war crimes case dogging 4 SEALs and transferred a prosecutor plagued by misconduct allegations. Now, this is a case that's been dragging on for 2.5 years, and Navy Region Southwest Commander Rear Admiral Bet Bolivar dropped all war crimes charges against these SEALs and their commanding officer. Well, I don't know, that smells suspiciously like a cover-up here. Another little story, this from Defense News. We've talked about this problem before. Bang for buck, especially with the aircraft carriers. And the new Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Michael Gilday, was confirmed quickly by the Senate last week. But lawmakers have made it clear that the incredible cost and the growing vulnerability of carriers, that's got to be his major job. Now, the carrier is the Navy's main force projection tool, but a lot of these new maneuverable hypersonic missiles, they don't really have anything to defend against it. I know they're trying to get the laser weapons out there to the fleet, but you got to have a lot of dwell. They're not pulsed. And if that rocket is zipping back and forth or spinning, it's going to be very, very hard. All right, we're going to do a shout out now to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining our network. Okay, let's see real quick. All right. All right, sorry, I had to deal with some emergency thing here. All right, everybody was up in arms over this movie, The Hunt. Now, this film is supposedly about liberal elites who have their private island, and they literally have workers or mercenaries kidnapping deplorables and putting them on the island where they're hunted for sport. And Universal Pictures had paused the marketing campaign for The Hunt, but said the film would go into release. They've now changed their minds on that, and they're saying, no, they have canceled the release of The Hunt. They'll say it's going to be released at some point down in the future. Just now is not a good time. Boy, are they right about that. I don't care when they release it. You know, I'm not at all interested in seeing that. Okay. Getting on to the economic news, it was a bad day on the stock market. The Dow ended 389 down. And a few more days of this, people are going to start panicking. They're calling it the August swoon. The Baltic dry index is down over 2%. And that is a major indicator. That is an indicator of how much raw materials are being shipped across the ocean to manufacturers. And if manufacturers are not manufacturing, then they don't need as much shipping. Argentina is collapsing. The peso plunges more than 30% against the US dollar in the early market. Things are very, very volatile right now. Bankers are slashing trader bonuses as Wall Street braces for a recession. New York City has lost 4,000 jobs in the restaurant sector alone since the arrival of the $15 minimum wage. And apparently experts are calculating that a minimum wage hike could cost Wisconsin at least 350,000 jobs. Well, it's not the minimum wage that's the problem. You know, people have to have money to live on, and they're faced constantly with rising prices, rising taxes, and the rising cost of the war. And that really is the core issue. We're in a wartime economy. They don't want to admit it, but that's where we are. And so ordinary people are caught in a bind between working as hard as they can just to pay their rent, buy their food, pay for their children's medication, pay for all the things we're being ordered to buy, like more vaccines. And it wasn't always like that. You know, back when I was a kid, one working parent paid for it all. House payment, food, cars. It was a golden age. And there's been this massive, massive decline. Okay, U.S. lobster exports to China have plunged amid the escalating trade war. And basically, Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Maine Coast, Sheila Adams, said that her company saw a 20% plunge in business activity in a matter of days last July, after China retaliated against U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods by raising duties on U.S. food and agricultural exports, which included live lobsters. And essentially what's happened is about 80% of our sales into mainland China have gone away because American lobster is now too expensive compared to the Canadian because of the 25% tariff. Well, I imagine lobster is about to get much less expensive over at the seafood restaurant. Okay, Al in Canada, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. When you were just speaking of America's golden age, Jordan Peterson is a psychologist up here in clinical psychologist up here in Canada. You probably heard of him. Actually mentioned something about what you just said. What he said was that the people of the United States have paid the ultimate price for enriching the rest of the world.
Yeah, it's a good way to phrase that.
Yeah, that may be a direct quote. I'm not actually sure, but so, you know, when you're on top, I guess there's nowhere left to go but down.
Well, I don't think being on top versus bottom was as much of an idea back then as simply capturing the American dream.
Well, a lot of that capturing the American dream was actually producing things that America wanted. And I'm sure war is not one of them, which it seems to be 25% of the federal budget.
Oh, it's more than that.
Well, there you go.
No, it's about half.
So,
the U.S. government spends more on war than on anything else, everything else put together.
wow. You're right. That is the war economy. Literally, you know, speaking, oh, it's crazy. I don't even understand how anybody can think of these. It's too bad, Mike.
Yeah. All right. Well, Al, we're going to let you go and switch over to Jim in Illinois. Aloha, Jim. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Michael, earlier Tom asked you about the number of people that end up dying after being shot in Chicago.
Yes.
This is the answer. 10% of the people that are shot end up dying. But this is the problem. The 90% of the people who are victims, they need help medically and also socially. And this is why Chicago spends over $350 million a year to take care of those people. And the county spends over $100 million a year to take care of the people. So more money is spent on helping the people who have been shot than taking care of the problem of ending the violence.
That does not surprise me.
You know, but again, you know, people wonder how come taxes are going up. That's one of the reasons why taxes are going up, and no one really wants to talk about it. You know, all the violence.
Well, there's also the load from the illegal immigrants and the migrants. You know, there's the fact that defense spending is constantly increasing.
Right. Did you hear what Trump's going to do starting in October, where if you are get a green card, you might not get any kind of social help, including food stamps, housing, et cetera, medical care?
Yep.
Did you see that today?
I saw that. I think it's a great idea.
I said to myself, now Trump is waking up. He realizes I have to do something. So this might really get people inspired about him taking care of illegals, finally.
Yep.
So, well, Michael, I'm going to let you go. You take care.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go. The phone lines are open now. So Reuters is saying the global economy is probably in recession, with most cyclical indicators showing business activity is flat or falling. China's money supply has outgrown its economy over twofold since 2009. And here's an interesting little story. The Boeing 737 MAX grounding has turned into such a disaster, airlines are leasing 30-year-old 737-200s. This was an aircraft that was discontinued back in 1988. But they need aircraft if they're going to stay in business. Boeing really messed this one up. Now, apparently, over in Italy, a Norwegian Air Boeing 787 plane was forced to turn around in Rome and make an emergency landing after engine failure caused hundreds of fragments to rain down on vehicles, homes, and people below. Sounds like a rotorburst to me. One person, 25 vehicles, and 12 houses were struck by fragments falling from the Dreamliner flight DY7115 from Rome to Los Angeles. Talk about a long-haul flight. Pilots declared an emergency when it suffered single-engine failure at 3,000 feet shortly after takeoff on Saturday and returned to Rome's Fiumicino Airport 23 minutes after departure. With 310 passengers and crew on board, there were no reported injuries. Now, fine point to keep in mind. Boeing makes the airframe, the 787 itself. The airline, when it buys the 787 itself, it chooses the engines to put in that aircraft. So we don't know who manufactured that engine, how old it was, and there have been a few problems with refurbished engines not holding up. But if this was only 3,000 feet right after takeoff, I would almost be looking at the possibility of a bird strike. Okay, we just had this on the phone call. Trump targets legal migrants who get food aid, and the Trump administration, is going to make it more difficult for poor or legal migrants to extend their visas or gain a green card. The rule targets migrants who rely on public benefits such as food aid or public housing for more than 1 year. And their applications will be rejected if the government decides they are likely to rely on public assistance in future. So the rule change would reinforce ideas of self-sufficiently. Now, the Democrats, Open Border people, have been making tremendous use of this video of this crying 11-year-old girl. And ICE is saying, look, her father committed a crime. Now, if somebody holds up a liquor store, what are you going to do? Put their kids out in front of the cameras and say, please don't take my daddy away? Anyway, we're coming up here on another commercial break, and we'll be back after these few words.
How healthy are your arteries? Deteriorating circulation has a number of early warning signs. High cholesterol, high blood pressure, fingers and or toes often go cold, arms and or legs often go to sleep, sharp diagonal crease in the earlobe, short walks cause cramping or pains in legs, memory is not as good as it used to be, ankles swell late in the day, chest pain after physical exercise or emotional stress. If you experience even one of these symptoms, your circulatory system is crying out for attention. Extendivite is a natural solution to help improve your overall health. Extendivite is not your average heart tonic. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or find us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're talking about events over in Europe. We're talking about the rising furor over Brexit and more concerns that it will be a no-deal, hard Brexit. And basically, there's a lot of fear-mongering going on. There's a lot of contingency planning going on. And apparently, trucks with vital supplies of food and medicine could be flown into Great Britain in a bid to avoid likely queues at Dover after Britain's exit. So they're talking about a Britain airlift, not unlike the Berlin airlift. Okay, we're going to go to the phones here. Rick in Arizona, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
A couple of quick items. Number one, Epstein is just laugh out loud. Number two, I was listening to Mike Rivero, or not Mike Rivero, Rob Revolt last night.
Oh, I never listened to that guy.
I know, but he made the comment that he would give up his guns if they came to the door, but he said he would. And then he would see how things were going, and then he would, if he needed to get a gun, he could go get one. I'm guessing, if these new laws that they're talking about, we already got background checks. The background checks that they're talking about is they want to be able to pierce the juvenile firewall. Okay, so if you were on Ritalin in high school, in junior high, this is going to affect you. This is what the background checks they're talking about. And I'm guessing that if they come to get your guns, they're going to take you with them. They're not going to let you go down to the bar and start making a big deal out of this, because that's just way too much fuel. If this ever comes about, because they're talking about mental health, you will be detained for a mental evaluation. And so, I don't know. Anyways, as far as Trump's, his new immigration plan, look, you cannot have immigration in this country what they want without welfare. It's too expensive to get apartment first, last month's rent, deposit, food, transportation. I mean, it's a huge expense for anybody to come here. So, I mean, if that's what Trump's saying, he's basically going to stop immigration. I'll have to see it to believe it.
Yes.
Okay. I believe nothing that I hear anymore. Just remember, I mean, it's a huge amount of money to come here. I mean, Mike, how much is it going to cost you to move to Indiana?
I have thousands of dollars. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's about $2,500 to ship the car, and so far it's going to be about $4,000 for what little furniture we're taking with us, plus per diem money for the trip itself. And I'm trying to set up this portable office for Claire so she can keep doing what she's doing while we wait for our stuff to show up over 4 weeks. But I just had somebody write in and suggest it might just be smarter to just FedEx that machine. We're traveling on the Labor Day weekend, so it's not like anybody's going to be out there doing business anyway.
Right. So just look at, when they talk about, cutting off welfare and the magnet for the immigrants to come here, don't believe a word of it until you see it. It's just too expensive for people to come here. I mean, to get an apartment or whatever, and the amount, when you get an apartment, they're going to make sure that you're earning maybe twice. You have to make at least twice of what your apartment rent is or something. I mean, so it's absolutely ridiculous. All these people coming in here are on welfare, major league. So anyways, thanks for taking my call.
All right, you got it. Thanks an awful lot. The phone lines are open. And yeah, there's all kinds of little formulas about, how much do you need to be making to get by in this country? And the numbers are not good. Whether you're an illegal immigrant, or even just a U.S. citizen fresh out of college. This is not a very friendly economic environment. Okay, over at the Customs Department, they're continuing to modernize its system to include biometrics for all passengers. And, of course, this is to basically treat the perfectly innocent as if they are perfectly guilty. And they're getting ready to integrate this across the globe, including domestic travel inside the United States. Okay, well, actor Richard Gere is over there in Europe, and he's become involved in the debate regarding this ship full of African migrants, which is being refused permission to dock in Italy. And so Richard Gere, trying to use his star power, basically says, well, the African migrants need to be taken care of, at which point Salvini says, why don't you take Italy's migrants to Hollywood on your jet? Which is a nice way of putting Gere in his place here. Pope Francis has waded into the debate here, proposing a Europe first against populist nationalism. Pope Francis said that citizens of European nations should put the good of all of Europe before that of their own countries. All right, there's the music. We got to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. By Christine, great for heart palpitations. By Ann, before I started using this product, every afternoon my ankles and my hands would be swollen. That doesn't happen anymore. So if that part of their advertising is true, I have to assume that the rest of it is also. Not to mention that when I had my yearly blood test, only a few weeks after beginning to use this product, my cholesterol had dropped over 30 points. I'm going to continue to take it. By Croc, I love this product. It really works. By Brad, works great, thank you. Tell us your story. Get your Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, 2, keep it today.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And Over in Europe, specifically in the European Parliament, Swedish Justice Minister Morgan Johansson has sharply criticized a Polish member of the European Parliament for daring to suggest that Swedes are actually leaving Sweden and moving to Poland due to all the problems stemming from mass migration. So this is Polish MEP Beata Mazurek, a member of the Conservative Law and Justice Party, criticized Sweden's migration policy, saying you've got assassinations, increased crime, rape, fear, Sharia zones. These are the consequences of multiculturalism and open doors for immigrants. Swedes are fleeing their country to find peace and normality in Poland. And of course, the Swedish Justice Minister did not like that at all. You know, I mean, we're beautiful here, and so what if the rape rate is up? Over in New York City, you gun enthusiasts are probably going to be very happy about this. New York City's got these ridiculous gun laws, and one of them is this law in question forbids residents with valid gun permits from transporting their firearms virtually anywhere outside their home. The sole exception is if you're traveling to or from an approved shooting range inside the city, and even then, the weapon must be unloaded and locked in an approved container, rendering the firearm completely useless in an emergency situation. Yeah, you can have a gun. We're just going to make sure you can't use it to keep, because got to protect those criminals. When you have a government that's organized crime, those criminals have to be taken care of. So apparently, New York City has backed off on that particular law because it was heading toward the Supreme Court. And with the conservative bent on the current Supreme Court, it was felt it was going to get voted down anyway. All right. Somebody did a poll of swing voters and found out they hugely oppose the 2020 Democrats promising more immigration. 66%. Overall, 63% of ex-Gen, 45% of Democrats. Open borders is becoming an election loser unless they use those illegal immigrants to steal the election. Then it's an election winner, which is, I think, what the plan actually is here. Okay. There's been a survey done by the Pew Center, and it's discovered that young Americans trust college professors more than they trust the military, police, or church leaders. Well, I can certainly see why that would be the case. Hang on a second. There we are. Okay. There is this feminist YouTube star named Jenny McDermott. I've heard the name before. And she came out with a video that's gone absolutely viral. And in this video, McDermott tells her audience that to create the ideal conditions for the survival of the human race, we must kill all men and male babies. Now, somebody was obviously asleep during that particular biology class. Hate to tell you this, Jenny. You got to have guys around. Maybe she's thinking something like the way honeybees organize their hives, where there's a zillion females, one reproducing queen, and a bunch of males to keep the queen happy, but they get kicked out in the autumn. Okay, Sarah Silverman was about ready to start a brand new movie, and somebody found this picture of her in blackface that she wore in a sketch for the Sarah Silverman Show all the way back in 2007. And she's lost her part in the movie because of it. Now, I'll be honest, I don't like Sarah Silverman. I think her style of comedy is very abrasive, but I think this idea of attacking people based on something they did a while back when it was considered socially acceptable, I think that's utterly ridiculous. All right, and in the realm of erasing our history, a statue of George Rogers Clark of Lewis and Clark fame has been deemed a monument to genocide and a shameful memory in a petition that demands its removal from the University of Virginia in Charlottesville. So they're going after our history again. We're going to take a phone call here from Jeff in North Carolina. Aloha, Jeff. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha, Mike. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing okay.
Good. Hope everything's getting moving the way you want it to, and you're not getting too much trouble. But
it's one thing to move when you're in your 20s and 30s, and something quite different when you're in your 60s and 70s.
Well, you're not going to get any younger.
Yeah, no, I'm not getting any younger, and I don't know. Maybe we should have just insured the heck out of it all and burned it all down.
That's right. Hey, I just wanted to call and talk to you a minute about Epstein. Now, I think it's Art Off the Grid. He did make a valid point. In most, I guess, medium-sized jails, you do have what's called like a high security, and then you got medium security, and then minimum security.
Yep.
So if he would have been in there and tried to commit suicide, number one, he would have been put on suicide watch in a cell by himself. There would have been nothing to hang himself or no way to kill himself, period. Wouldn't matter if the camera is on him or not. But the second thing about that is once you try to commit suicide, they're not going to let you off a suicide watch, period, until you get transferred out of that jail to somewhere else. Like once you catch your state time or federal time, you get moved to a different penitentiary. But while you're awaiting trial, if you try to commit suicide once, even if they already got you on suicide watch because you're a high-profile guy and they want to keep you in a cell by yourself, you're not going to get off a suicide watch in 30, 60, or 90, or 120 days for as long as you're in that facility, period. Okay, that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say is what people are generally forgetting and they don't take into account about Jeffrey Epstein is his original sweetheart deal. Now, he had so many hundreds, it seems like, of accusers ready to sit on the stand and testify about everything that he did to them. And, he got this sweetheart deal done by Acosta and Epstein, all this business. Now, one thing is for sure about this first deal. Epstein wasn't calling the shots. Dershowitz wasn't calling the shots. The DA wasn't calling the shots. Epstein was calling the shots. We all know that he didn't even go to the jail. He had a separate cell outside of the jail in like a little apartment outside the jail. He signed himself in and signed himself out. This is a deal that nobody would get. Now, Jeffrey Epstein, we all know what he did. We all know what he was doing and how he was doing it. So anybody that thinks that Epstein wasn't calling all of the shots, period, they're crazy. Now, I personally don't think that Jeffrey Epstein is dead, because if you had the power to get somebody in a jail to whack somebody, well, you got the power to walk them right out the front door.
Yes.
Jeffrey Epstein is not dead. He is definitely not dead. In fact, I don't think he ever spent the first night in jail. I think all of that, he tried to commit suicide and blah, 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 blah. It was all just a time waste trying to get him out of the country, to get him changed, to get him a passport, the whole 9 yards, to get him gone. Now, I'm sure that they're going to tell him, hey, we don't want to see you back in the United States. Nobody better ever find out who you are, but you're going to carry on and keep doing business the way you always did business. You're just going to do it under a new assumed name. If anybody thinks Jeffrey Epstein is done, they're crazy. He's still in business. He ain't going nowhere. He's got more dirt on high-powered profile officials than anybody in the history of man. So he's calling the shots.
Yes.
Definitely. He called all the shots. Right? Now, you heard about the 2,000 documents that supposedly got released. Well, where? Where's the link? Where are these documents? Oh, well, they don't have any weight now because now there's not going to be a trial because he's definitely dead. And if you look at all the mainstream and even all the mainstream across like YouTube and stuff, they keep pushing the narrative. He's dead, dead, dead. Nothing else to see here. We just knew it. We called it. We all called it. We all called it. He was going to get waxed in jail. Well, that's the narrative that was being set originally. That's the narrative that's being set now. And anytime you see a narrative being set, you can obviously look to another answer. There's no way he's dead. And there's no way he's dead because everybody out there is saying he's dead. That's all I got to say. Y'all have a wonderful day.
All right. Thanks an awful lot, Jeff. We're going to let you go here. And yeah, I mean, if Epstein, let's assume that he had dead man switches all over the place. So killing him in that prison is very iffy because you don't know if that's going to set off the dead man switches with all this embarrassing material dumped all over the internet. So Epstein is in a position to say, look, you find a way to get me out of here or I'm going to start releasing information on you. So they fake that earlier attack, or maybe the earlier attack was real. And then they fake a hanging. They run him over to the hospital. They declare him dead. They wheel him out the back door. And, you know, he's on a private plane to who knows where. And I'm starting to think more and more that's what happened. Somebody put together a very compelling side-by-side photo of Epstein, or who we're being told was Epstein, on that gurney going into the hospital, as well as a very recent photo, profile photo of Epstein. And there are differences. You know, there's more of a hook to the nose in one than the other, but the eyebrows are much higher on one than the other. But the real giveaway are the ear folds. And most people don't know this, but ear folds are unique to each one of us. They're as unique as fingerprints, and they never change unless you have a really bad accident with a straight razor. And as a matter of fact, some law enforcement agencies around the world consider an ear print to be quite compelling. So I find myself agreeing with Rush Limbaugh. I think Epstein is still alive. And we're all being lied to again. Okay, getting on back to the world of political correctness. Apparently, Coca-Cola over in Hungary ran an advertisement featuring same-sex couples kissing, and it provoked an immediate backlash with people calling for boycotts of the company. See, it's one thing to say, I accept the gay agenda, you know, out in public, they want to go into their, you know, their home or whatever, but to just literally shove it into my home on a TV commercial, that's a little intrusive, and I think a lot of people are responding to that. So anyway, apparently Coca-Cola made up this commercial with several same-sex couples showing affection while sharing a Coke, and this was unveiled in conjunction with Budapest's week-long Love Revolution, which is an event similar to Pride Month. One of the slogans connected to the ad reads, "Zero sugar, zero prejudice, and love is love." Alrighty. Apparently the FBI, despite its current low reputation coming out of Spygate, the Bureau is shopping for technology that allows it to monitor social media in real time, allegedly to spot potential criminal activity. It's sort of like pre-crime Minority Report. That's assuming, of course, that somebody who's considering doing something is going to mention it on social media, which, let's be honest, that would be an extraordinarily dumb thing to do. But the FBI intends to award a firm a fixed-price contract for the purpose of acquiring subscription services to a social media early alerting tool in order to mitigate multifaceted threats while ensuring all privacy and civil liberties compliance requirements are met. And offers shall include qualifications, details, and pricing for subscription services. I think, like facial recognition, they're going to spend a lot of money on it, and it's not really going to work. If I'm getting ready to go on out, shall we say, and rob a bank, do you think I'm going to put it on social media? I am on my way to rob a bank. After the robbing, do you think I'm going to put down on my social media, I just robbed a bank? And I know, yes, we've heard about really dumb criminals who did just that and they got caught. Okay. Apparently, there has been a spike in government demands for Amazon customer data. Amazon is reporting a 77% increase in subpoenas for information on Alexa, Kindle, and Ring users in the last 6 months. So these devices really are listening to you. So you got to be careful what you say around them. Alrighty. Okay, apparently Facebook is now banning pages that criticize dirty cops for brutality and planting drugs. So, real Orwellian stuff here. Can't report on bad cops. All right, Fred in Iowa, we're going to start with you, but I'm going to have to take you through the commercial break, into our last commercial break. What's on your mind?
Well, you don't have to take me to through the break. A very titillating subject. This goes to show you what's on people's minds and how degenerate our nation has become.
Well, it definitely has done that.
Bye-bye.
Okay, well, we're going to take one more commercial break. We'll be back with the last segment of today's show after these few words.
AncientLifeOil.com. For your CBD needs, just remember, AncientLifeOil.com. What does it do for the body, you ask? I can't say to the people in the suits that run the industry. Big Pharma is all over CBD because of its well, you know what I mean. Research the benefits of CBD on Google and come back to AncientLifeOil.com and purchase your CBD today. Non-GMO and all organic. You don't want to be using a petroleum product. You want to be using the cleanest CBD product on the market, AncientLifeOil.com. We even have CBD for your pet. Help your pet's discomfort. Help your discomfort. Log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Newly reduced prices to pass off the savings to the most important person, you. AncientLifeOil.com. And one more thing, we have topicals too. So if you have joint pain and some different issues that are going on in your body, you might want to use the topical. Think about it. AncientLifeOil.com.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield tactical bipods. AROutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more. Plus magful clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AROutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AROutfitting.com.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And you've probably seen the commercials, or in the story you've seen the package for Skittles. It's this kind of brightly colored gel candy, and the slogan is Taste the Rainbow, which I think Rush Limbaugh does the voiceovers for that. Well, for Pride Month, Skittles is turning their package completely black and white. So instead of adding more rainbow to it, they're taking it out. There's nowhere to go. I mean, it was already rainbowed enough, but that's what they're going to be doing with that. Somebody wrote on in saying that if Caitlyn Jenner can still have male genitals and call herself a woman, why can't gun owners continue to own their guns and call themselves disarmed? Good point. I didn't realize that Caitlyn Jenner still had all the plumbing, nor do I really care, to be absolutely honest about it. So right now, everybody's taking a look at the internet and all the mechanisms being brought to bear so that our right to freedom of speech is basically ended. There's the new trademark enforcement mechanisms added for top-level domains to basically say you've got to be careful. If you use a meme, if you use somebody else's artwork, even if you alter it, what they're doing is they're getting rid of the fair use doctrine. Okay, now Trump is accusing Google and its CEO of illegal interference in our elections, stating rather the obvious here, and warned he's going to be watching Google very closely ahead of the 2020 election. I'm not sure that watching it is going to accomplish much of anything. So we'll see. Here's an interesting little story that came out of Breitbart News talking about how Google's free speech movement is dead. And it didn't go down without a fight. The tech giant embarked on its self-described shift towards censorship. Many employees inside the company spoke out against it and were rewarded with harassment and discrimination for trying to remain true to Google's founding values. But former Google employees tell Breitbart News they felt they were forced out of the company and retaliated against because they stood up for free speech and political neutrality. They described an atmosphere of bullying in which far-left social justice warriors were allowed to smear and intimidate them with little intervention from the company's human resources department. And this is a little bit of warning here. Apparently, corn inside the United States is already being rationed. Now, corn is used extensively to feed livestock. It's not just the corn on the cob you get on your dinner table, or the corn tortillas, or the ethanol in your gas tank. Corn is used to feed pigs, cattle, which then grow up and become pot roast. But they're already starting to ration the corn. The price is going to be going up. All right, there's the music. Time for me to get out of here and get back to packing, actually. So stay tuned for John Stedmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of things to share with you. Please donate to RBN. Please donate to whatreallyhappened.com. We'll talk to you all tomorrow. Aloha, America.